Good morning. This week we're doing a lot of steel work. You'll notice behind me I have a crane that is being used to bring the steel from the ground level up to the terrace roof deck. This crane has some special attachments to it to allow it to reach across the building, and it's called a jib. That jib is the space frame looking material at the end of the crane that will allow the steel to be transported over accordingly. You'll notice there's a bunch of operations when it comes to erecting the steel. When the steel comes to the job site, what happens is they have to shake out the steel, is what they call that term, meaning that they got to put it in an order on how they're going to erect the steel on the building. That being the case, once that's in place, then they bring the crane out on site and then start delivering the steel up to the roof. And then there's an operator that's down below that's called a rigger, and the rigger actually rigs the steel with a strap. That strap holds the steel in place onto the crane, and then they swing that up to where they're sitting on the steel. There's also a signalman on the roof that's signaling the crane on how to boom in or out, up or down trolleys with the crane. So there's a lot of coordination in just erecting the steel and getting that in place. So the column base is comprised of anchor bolts that are tied into the slab. Last week we tied in those anchor bolts and got them in position to where the column base plate can sit over top of these bolts. You'll notice there's two nuts put in place, one below the base plate and one above it, and that's so it properly positions the steel column to the right elevation so they can tie the rest of the steel together. And then they finalize that installation by putting grout, that's a cementitious material, between the column base plate and the rooftop. Another operation you'll see this week is that the roofers are roofing over the locations of the column bases. If we have a rain event, we can keep the water from coming inside the building. This is required because the grouting has to take place. We have to remove the roof where the grout's going to be against the building and put that in place, and then we put the roof over top of it. EIFS work continues. If you notice, it is starting to take shape now where the blue primer is being covered by the insulation. They're getting the insulation shaped in the form that the architect drawings show how they want it to look in the final product, and they're going to start the brown coating operations soon. A lot of it's dependent upon the weather and temperature outside to make sure it is properly applied.